Once again, a different One Piece video, this time inspired by something I saw, well, someone actually, not something, it's a something video, but someone I saw from a long time ago. She gave me permission or gave her blessing that I could make a similar one, but she did one because she had celebrated subscribers. Unfortunately, I cannot have that honor, although last time I checked I had 260, but maybe you should say celebrating that for having at least over 250. Either way, that's not what this video is about. This video is talking about, as I've made many despair videos, it's about time I make a video that is talking about some things you like when it comes to One Piece. And these, I've tried to thought them over, but if you had 30 of your favorite characters in One Piece, added to a list of, uh, the, a list for at least November 2016, who would they be? Well, it's been very difficult, mind you. So all in all, this list may still be not similar, but then again, that's for making a new one when the time comes. Without further ado, let's jump into the 30 of my favorite One Piece characters. Number 30, Kizaru. Kizaru the Admiral, or the damn, I already forgot what his Borsalino, as his real name is. The man who holds the Glint fruit, or the Light fruit, who allows him to become a light man of Logia, is is actually my favorite admiral. As much as I like Aokichi for his seemingly very strong sense of justice, and Fujitora for also being one of the few who defies them, in a way I like Kizaru because even though Kizaru is such a man who's difficult to read, it is difficult to knowing if he's sarcastic or if he sometimes is truly polite as his talk suggests. But the way he has that soothed, calm voice, and even his English dub voice, which by the way is very good, I gotta say that Kizaru is a very funny admiral. That when he gets serious, it's actually a bit terrifying that someone so relaxed and so uh, taking things lightly can be that dangerous. There's also one joke. He is a guy who takes everything lightly, and yet he holds the power to allow him to become the fastest man on the planet. Number 29, Shanks. Red-haired Shanks, Luffy's mentor, no, not mentor, the role model is the right word, the man to look up for. A man who we all know have vitally been hinted in the manga to be enormously badass, and yet we have only seen few shots of him to prove that theory. But he was the first person who demonstrated Haki to us. But this was before we even realized that Haki existed. So all that is just showing that. And even though it seems like red-haired Shanks do not have so much in heritage to allow him to have Haoshoku no Haki, Shanks is still an enormous badass because he sacrificed his arm to save Luffy, which by the way I find very strange. Not that he sacrificed his arm, but I thought someone that powerful would not lose an arm to a Sea King like the one from Luffy's village, but it was a small price to pay for him, and that's what makes it very heartwarming. That Shanks gave up something to bet it on a new era, and he hasn't become weaker at all. Also, he was Mihawk's sparring partner in the past. So yeah, Shanks is a guy of many mysteries, especially the fact that he has somewhat a little bit weird philosophy, saying like if people share different views, they should better if they part. But at the same time, he seems to be the most friendly of them all. But then again, you cannot deny Shanks is a badass character. After all, who else can stop a war with an axe-crazy admiral and raging marines with just his presence and his crew alone? Not even Whitebeard could do that. Number 28, Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci is among the most badass martial artists in One Piece, and also one of the few villains on this list. The reason why I like Rob Lucci is simply because he was one of the toughest enemies for Luffy. Although it's argued if he is tough anymore, you have to be noting that Luffy at that time pushed his body beyond anything else. He won almost by sheer endurance, so to speak. sheer endurance, willpower, and one final strong attack, while Rob Lucci drained the stamina of his own stamina. I mean, Rob Lucci drained his stamina. Still, the Rokushi martial arts enhanced by Rob Lucci was out of this world, and it greatly wounded Luffy, even though he had a body of rubber, and he didn't even have haki. We didn't even know he could have haki at that time. Moreover, some have said that his appearance in film Gold is also golden. But yeah, a leopard man who ate the cat fruit model leopard, he is definitely a ferocious one. And while it's clear that Rob Lucci enjoys massacre or something like that, there are some who argue exactly how honorable or dishonorable is this man. Well, he seems to be more honorable than his former scum boss Spandam, but this is a guy that wants thrill, so he's just like a wild animal. Number 27, Princess Moncheli. Are you beginning to shut off the video? Please don't do it yet. I know, now you actually are opening your jaw and saying, what? That dwarf princess that was so crying all the time? Why did you like her? Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm actually an emotional guy sometimes. Why do you think I'm so obsessed with despair? Because I liked Princess Marshall's debut, especially in the anime. The voice they gave her was just perfect. She's cute, as many point out, so very adorable, and she's not a dwarf that can fight, at least by her own words, but she has heart. And it's also pretty funny. We thought she was a spoiled, irrational, rational princess, but no, that's just a misinterpretation by a dwarf uh, called Leo. So yeah, Princess Marshall is really a kind princess, and I like the fact that she spread her dandelions to help people, saying, "I may not can use weapons, but my tears will not stop." I just felt that was so very emotional. Saying number 26. Speaking of princesses, Princess Shirahoshi. Now you probably want to shut up the video, right? Please, I beg you, just watch from the very end, because I know for a fact that Shirahoshi is not exactly on many favorite lists. And I know why, because, well, Shirahoshi is a very crybaby, and actually you feel crybaby is very annoying. But I have to say one thing, people. Rebecca, that was an annoying crybaby. If at least Shirahoshi had a voice that sounded like for her. Moreover, even Shirahoshi was not a girl who could fight, while Rebecca had that tried to put up an image she could, but in the end that was all just a lie. That was a So why do I like Princess Shirahoshi? Mostly again because she has a very kind heart. Read TV Tropes version of you, and I think you will get a change of heart of thinking about Princess Shirahoshi. She's a giant, swelt, melting mermaid, but she's very fragile personality, easy breaking into cries. But despite all that, Princess Shirahoshi has a very kind heart. In fact, you should ask yourself, would you ever not hate someone even if they killed your own flesh and blood when you loved them? I mean, just keeping that promise and showing such a kind heart and even willing to sacrifice her own life, even though she's so afraid from a raging Noan arc, and the fact that she is a mermaid that can control the Sea Kings, it's just so amazing. She's a so kind princess. She's not a weapon of mass destruction. She may be naive, but there's no denying that Princess Shirahoshi is a model instant of an almost Disney-like mermaid. Enormously kind, enormously beautiful, and have a very strong uh, uh, heart. Number 25, Kaku. Although Rob Lucci was on this list, technically I would count Kaku as my favorite CP9. Maybe not my favorite best villains. Maybe Rob Lucci will get on that. But Kaku I like because he's the most polite of all the CP9. Also, he was the only one that regretted actually having giving up their cover-up as Galila. Moreover, his transformation in giraffes actually made giraffes cool, if you think about it. There's no he may the way his because Kaku was also one of the few people we actually saw besides Buggy eat a devil fruit on screen on manga and anime chapters together with the Khalifa. But I like the Kaku because his devil fruit, the Ushi Ushi no Mi model giraffe, the giraffe fruit, actually looked very ridiculous, but surprisingly a martial artist like Kaku turned out to be a very deadly weapon. Would that actually have worked? In real life, giraffes cannot do even close to that, but hey, it's fantasy, right? Moreover, he could a bit match Zoro in swordsmanship, and his own personal swordsmanship was Yonto, you, not Yonto Ryu, because he has two swords in his hands and two swords in his legs, but his powerful Rankaku, which was the most powerful Rankaku of all the CP9. Maybe a little bit less than Rob Lucci, Number 24, Bartholomew Kuma. A man of many mysteries, is not exactly known for many things, especially one thing. At the beginning, he seemed to be a very serious and a pirate that was loyal to the government, but later it turned out that just like many Shibukai, he hated the government. But he still allowed himself to become a slave to them by becoming a pacifista and now no longer has his personality. But before that, we saw that Bartolomeo is called the tyrant, and yet at the same time had an honor. Even though his honor may still have been, whoa, my god, he still was also the man who successfully separated the Straw Hats and defeated them twice, even though they were exhausted a big time. But that separation actually allowed them to become stronger. Therefore, moreover, his devil fruit. You had to think about it. That devil fruit was one of the most amazing ever. The pawpaw fruit. At the beginning, it was extremely difficult. But if it could have been called the repel fruit, then maybe we would have heard a better name, because that's just what this power could. He could repel things, and even the air, and even himself. There was a lot of confusion on how can he teleport, and then it turns out that he could even use his own pushing power to push himself across places, meaning that he could not only push things, push others, he could even push himself. And that is beyond badass. Moreover, his pacifista's modulations were cool. But yeah, Bartholomew Kuma, a man of many mysteries, as he is also was a member of the Revolutionary Army. So why did he become like this? Was this all a plan of Dragon, or was it something else? Moreover, Bartholomew Kuma was called the Tyrant. So I put Bartholomew Kuma here because, well, he's so mysterious, but there's no denying he was a very honorable Shibukai. Number 23, Vika. I think I'll take Vika as my favorite dwarf. As much as people complain about the dwarf, they actually grow on me. More because, well, they were the only members of the One Piece world that talked in Keigo, and I like that. But Vika, I actually found Vika adorable. At the beginning, people didn't really believe she was female, that's the only flaw. She didn't have any chest. Even Mon Shelley had more chest than she had. But Vika was pretty cute because, just like many others, she was a bit fragile when it came to emotion. But her voice was very cute, and unlike the others, she wasn't exactly fragile. That she was just what's that word? Clumsy. It was also funny that she was one of the few people that dared to call Zoro a bonehead. So yeah, I liked Vika, and I wish we could have seen more of her. Number 22, Koala. When we saw her in the Fisherman arc's flashback, we thought Koala was just another unfortunate victims of slavery that got to know the kind side of the fisherman. But no, Koala resurfaced in the Dressrosa kingdom as a grown and beautiful lady with still an adorable face. So why is she on this list? We know practically nothing of her. Well, that's just because we got the return of her with a grown-up body. That's the reason I'm putting her on this list. She's also a woman that has somehow learned Fishman Karate, proving that it can be learned by humans, but we have yet to see, although we have seen in video games, exactly how Fishman Karate works for humans and not for fishmen, because Fishman Karate was like martial arts, allowing them to control the water in every move. So what I'm asking is, can even a human do that? Well, technically fishmen and humans have the same blood, so maybe they are related. But Koala is also one that she's a parallel to Nami. While Nami suffered terribly because of fishmen, Koala got her retribution because of fishmen. It's also the big mystery. Why did Koala join the revolutionary? If I had to guess, it would be like this. She figured out that her family hometown was the cause of Fisher Tiger's death, and she got angry at them of not understanding fishmen, and then she left her home country, began to try to get stronger but couldn't, and by some miracle she met Sabo and the others, where she joined the revolutionary and studied fishermen because she wanted to get close to them. And I think she's a member of the revolutionary in order to prove that fishmen are not all bad. They're just misunderstood. So I like to put her on this list. Number 22, Jaguar D. Saul. One of my favorite flashback characters. Jaguar D. Saul made sure, although it was out, well, no, I'll get to that. Was one of the people that made sure Robin could survive, even though she was just a weak, helpless little girl. But even in his, but it was also the fact that it was the first giant with a D, and so far the only one as of 2016. But his kindness was immense. He was just as kind as he was big, and he gave Robin courage and encouragement on how to laugh at the bad times. Moreover, even as he was frozen to death by his friend Aokiji, he accepted his fate just like a true D, and gave one final laugh and smile of pure heartwarming to Robin with the strong final words like, "One day you'll find strong comrades will never leave you. No matter who you are, ain't no one born in this world to be alone." And even that moved Aokiji to spare Robin, that time at least. So yeah, Jaguar D. Saul, you died a true hero and a true friend, just like a true D. Number 20, Portugas D. Ace, also known as Fire Fist Ace, is Luffy's adoptive older brother, and his death was one of the most shocking things ever, especially for me, because, I mean, when Luffy freed him, I honestly believed Ace would survive, and then just two chapters later he died. That was one of the biggest shock ever. But Portugas D. Ace have almost become more popular ever since he died. But it's the fact that at the beginning he seemed like he was was an older, more mature and kinder person than Luffy. But it turned out that deep down the strong young boy held deep anxiety since he was the son of Goldie Roger, born postmortally. It was also the fact that he had a lot of strong potential, but he hated the fact that he would always be compared to that. So he became a pirate for freedom, but also because he wanted to know his one word question: should I have been born? And he figured that out in his death, which was very tragic. But I'm putting him on this list. But despite all of his deep anxiety, because I know the deep feeling of not feeling loved, or more. Well, I do know people love me, but I prefer to say the one when you feel your existence is not worth anything because you don't know what to do about anything. Ace's answer was to find freedom, and I haven't found my answer yet. But my point is that Portuguese D. Ace, his death was also very tragic and very emotional. But it's through his all experience that he became a very strong and kind brother to Luffy. So all in all, his death was was changed the manga and the fate of the world of One Piece. Number 19, Marco the Phoenix. Although Marco seems to have gotten the Wolf Effect shoe toy treatment post-mortally in the time skip and is being hunted by a very annoying Shibukai, I still feel like Marco the Phoenix is my favorite Whitebeard crew member, at least, because let's face it, wouldn't there's no, how many do not want a phoenix like devil fruit? Once we saw that, we didn't realize that Zoan devil fruits actually could have mythical powers, similar to Logia's. So yeah, Marco the Phoenix is a guy of many mystery, and also the fact that ever since he was the first mate of, or the first division commander of Whitebeard, meaning that I want to know more about Marco the Phoenix, which is I'm putting him on this list. How was his history? And he has been with Whitebeard, I mean, practically for 20 years, and yet Marco the Phoenix, he didn't look a single bit older. He didn't look a single bit like 40, maybe 30, but not 40, which make me question, was that devil fruit the cause of this? Could it be that his Phoenix Devil Fruit actually gave him immortality? Some sort? But who knows? But his Devil Fruit, his kicking power, and his Haki, which made Marco the Phoenix one of my favorite characters. Number 18, Fukaboshi. Okay, it's also one person on the list, which a lot of people is gonna say, huh? I mean, he practically did nothing, and which was the only thing I didn't like about his character. He was hyped up as being badass, and yet he fell. But the reason I like him is because first, he talked politely. Second of all, he admitted his own faults and the own terror that the fishmen people and mermaid folk have caused for their untrust and hatred. And the fact that he became a very trusted ally to Luffy, and further hints towards a future meeting that's gonna be more badass than ever. The first prince of King Neptune. He is the shark merman also, and the first shark merman that actually was an ally, seeing that the whale shark doesn't count. So yeah, I actually like Fukaboshi because you should give the mermen and the merfolk a chance. They're more badass than you think. Number 17, Whitebeard. Just like Portuguese Diaz, his death was very tragic, but it was also extremely memorable. Whitebeard, an old guy, at the beginning seemed to be just an overly arrogant old man because he was so powerful. In the end, it turned out that he was still admitted he had faults, but he also was someone who was a father to his men. And as much as I'm actually a bit curious in that, wait a moment, why didn't he have any females on the seemingly crew? He seemed to have a little bit of weird movements at that, which is actually making me a little bit question. Still, there's no denying that Whitebeard's final days, his battle on the Marineford was one of the most badass moments ever. I mean, his as much as it's actually pretty evil to say, even his death was amazing. Yeah, even not even in death, his body fell. He stood there almost like a proud statue, almost. His coat falling down. There was not a single wound on his back because he never turned tail or run, which means for all of his life of 70 years, the man called Whitebeard has always stayed strong and never run, which is one of the key of One Piece. If you run, you lose. If you fight, you win. Number 16, Corazon. Also a man of flashback that is very awesome. His kindness changed a little bit. A nihilistic and extremely depressed and a little bit unstable boy called Trafalgar Law into a little bit more reasonable young man. As much as Trafalgar Law is questionable, Corazon's kindness was not. He was also the perfect foil to his scumbag brother, Don Flamingo, as Don Flamingo was a man who was only selfish and cared for anything but himself. Corazon was the perfect counterpart. He cared about others, and he sacrificed a very precious missions just to save one boy. Even his death was extremely memorable, tragic, and very amazing because even as he was having gunpoint of Don Flamingo and he accepted his death, bragged that he was a marine, saying to Luffy, "You will no, not Luffy, Don Flamingo, that you will never get Law." And even as he was shot, he hanged on to the final straw in life, but his final thoughts was of Law, who smiled and said, "You are now truly free." So yeah, Corazon, or Don Quixote Rosciante as his real name was, you really touched the hearts of others. You were the real Corazon, a real heart. Which, by the way, Corazon is Spanish for heart. Number 15, Rayleigh. Rayleigh became Luffy's mentor and the first mate of the Roger Pirates, called the Dark King. There's no denying that Rayleigh is one of the coolest old men ever. And it's also pretty cool how laid back he is. He's always saying, "My body won't work the way it does," right before he does something extraordinary amazing. And thanks to Rayleigh, Luffy became stronger by teaching Haki, and his Haki is among the most strongest ever. I mean, Rayleigh's is. Um, so Rayleigh seems to be a guy that takes things slowly, and he knows he's old, but he accepts it and laughs about it. So I feel like, yeah, Rayleigh is just that relaxed guy who has had a wonderful life, and he is so happy of teaching to a new generation to teach others. So yeah, you are very cool, a very cool old guy, and was best mentor Luffy could have ever asked for. Number 14, Trafalgar Law. I talked about him in the Corazon. As much as I do not want to make Law a favorite character, there's no denying that Law has actually become very cool after the Dressrosa arc. At the beginning I didn't trust him, but now surprisingly I do. I do honestly believe that beneath his stonic personality, Law actually has a heart now. Thanks to Corazon, the guy who had a heart. But it's also the fact that his Oppi Oppi no Mi has been hyped up as one of the strongest ever. The only thing I dislike about the fruit is it drains stamina. But I think one of the biggest reasons why Trafalgar Law became so famous is his voice actors. I mean, after Hiroshi Kamiya, I think his name was, became the voice of Trafalgar Law, his popularity skyrocketed. And Matthew Mercer is his currently English dub voice actor. I mean, you cannot help but feeling that is very badass, so to speak. Number 13, Bon Clay. The only Okama on this list. Nonetheless, even for an Okama, Bon Clay, there's no denying that Bon Clay turned from the beginning a very flamboyant villain that surprisingly was very dangerous in martial arts. It turned out that deep down Bon Clay is just a man who wants to have friends. He may be in touch with his feminine side very much, which makes actually people question what do you mean by friends. But there's no denying that in the end, Bon Clay is one of the most selfless characters ever. I mean, he twice sacrificed himself for the Straw Hat Pirates. This first was to let him escape Alabasta and to go on the adventure. But the second, oh man, that's gotta be one of the most amazing emotional sacrifices ever. Granted, he was revealed to be alive, but even though he was so afraid, he managed to trick the entire Impel Down to thinking he was the warden thanks to his copy fruit, which is very fitting for an Okama. He still the managed to do all that, gave his farewell to Luffy, and as he was facing off against Magellan, and Magellan was about to unleash his wrath, he said, "What were your last words?" And Bon Clay, or Bentham as he says, Mr. Two, also said, "I have no regrets." I mean, in the anime he said satisfaction, and dub says, "Have at thee." I mean, I like both. Prefer the dub though over the Japanese one, but I prefer the manga line most. "I have no regrets." Bad ass. Number 12, Wanda. Wanda, the mink, the dog mink of the tribe, is one of the best new introductions of the female characters ever. As much as we has yet to see her fully in action, I find everything about Wanda very awesome. I mean, she's a curvious dog mink with big breasts, and yet she still can, and she can fight. She can fight because she's a mink, and the mink are one of the most awesome new characters ever revealed in One Piece. Moreover, even her Japanese voice actress, I suspected Fumiko would be the one to voice her. It's a perfect fit. So yeah, I like Wanda very much. It's also the fact that her friendship with Nami is so very adorable, and the fact that she licks people just like a dog. So I hope to see more of her in the future arcs and hopefully see her kick ass. Number 11, Frankie. Later on, I had not liked Frankie as much because, well, I feel like he's undermining his badassness. But there's no denying that his intro in the Ennis lobby and everything else was nothing more short of pure awesome. He burned the blueprints, he flipped off the government, and he was willing to help the Straw Hats escape and later on became their shipwreck amazingness. Frankie is a weird guy who's also a cyborg who's all wearing nothing but Speedos and a Hawaii shirt. He's still having a manly badass center around himself. But just to be sure, clear, I prefer his English voice over the Japanese one. It's clear the Japanese channels his perversion and weirdness a lot, but I feel like the English Patrick Sees channels his manliness and his badass more. But as time has gone by, it's clear even Patrick Sees is channeling some of that drawl which Kalsigio has, which is part of his perversion. Number 10, Luffy. Are you still surprised the fact that I'm placing Luffy so far down? Why am I placing one of the best characters of Straw Hats down here? Actually, I sometimes don't like his idiocy. I mean, Luffy is a very is a created is a character created to be liked. He is a simpleton and voracious eater, yet at the same time have a kind heart to the people he befriend and a very strong spirit, even though you don't believe it. And he always stands strong to his beliefs and his undying faith in every people he considers a friend. So, but my only reason for placing Luffy on the 10 is because I have other favorite characters before him, but also because I dislike the cross-dressing voices. Yeah, I said it. I'm afraid I have to say that. I mean, it's the only fitting to them. After all, Luffy was based on Son Goku, so of course he was going to get a voice like that. Still, the voices have grown in the life, but it's also pretty funny that one other reason why I can like Luffy is because his Devil Fruit, the Rubber Rubber no Mi, I mean the Gomu Gomu no Mi, feels just so ridiculous, and in the end he has turned it into one of the most deadliest weapons ever. So despite his flaws in his voice and his childish personality, Luffy still has an air of wisdom and a kind heart. Number 9, Bartolomeo. He was one of the few things in the Dressrosa arc that people liked. Bartolomeo, also known as the cannibal, because it's not because he eats people, because eating people in some text means mocking them, meaning that Bartolomeo is a mocker. He's at the same time a loony fan of Luffy's, and has proven to be very comical about that and very fun to watch. And even the voice of him, Shotaro Murakabu, that was a very good fit of that. He has the Bari Bari no Mi, the barrier fruit allows him to become a Bari Ningen. As weird as that power is, he has proven it to be very strong, and now is even a member of Luffy's Grand Fleet, even though Luffy didn't want to have a Grand Fleet. So I feel like Bartolomeo is rivaling Cavendish, even though Cavendish is not on this list. I feel like Bartolomeo is among the best of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. So yet. Number 8, Sabo. Sabo, we thought he died as a young boy, which there he didn't have much personality except for a very strong desire to be free and hate in the fact that he was born a noble, which was very rare to hear at that time because so far every single noble were very happy being born a noble. He nonetheless changed many things about the people around him. He returned in Dressrosa as a grown man and with the voice of none other than Saint Seiya. He and eating the Mera Mera no Mi, which Ace had until his death, and proven to be a good match for that fruit. In the end, it turns out that even Sabo has John the Revolutionary, which we all guessed he would have if he had been alive. Sabo has just entered the scene and he already screamed awesomeness and badassness. And as I said before, the voice of Saint Seiya, you cannot help but feel very awesome by that. Number 7, Nami. Nami is a character that is actually switching between sometimes good or sometimes not. Sometimes she can fight, sometimes she cannot. She's actually not meant to be much of a fighter, but she's a very beautiful girl and only became more beautiful after the time skip, practically because her hair grew longer. It's also the fact that I find Nami so the perfect fit for all the Straw Hats' idiocies, especially when she punches them very comically and it still hurt like oh, we got hurt by a girl. It's so very comical. It's also, despite those flaws, Nami is also a very emotional character and can understand people. Although she currently cannot understand the situation in the whole Cake Island arc, Nami's emotionality and is one of the most cute things about her. Also, her voice actually fits in both the Japanese and the English, even though I sometimes feel the Japanese channels her more adorable side more, and even though she has age, she still channels the adorable voice of Nami, while the English Lucy Christian channels more of her sarcasm. It's still a very good match. Number 6, Carotto or Carrot. A rabbit mink, I find her more I like her more than Wanda. A bit small, a bit adorable. I mean, a bit small, very adorable. Have a very beautiful body and has been hinted to be extremely strong. When Kara burst on the scene, I fell in love with her immediately. I would definitely like to have a Garshu with her. She is just so amazing and so cool. I dislike the fact we still haven't seen much of her skills per se, but as soon as she entered the arc in the whole Kick Island arc, I'm really beginning to wonder, is she gonna become a crew member of the Straw Hat Pirates? In the end, I don't think so, because, well, they already have a talking animal. I don't think they can take another. But if they would take a mink, I would prefer they take her. Number 5, Zoro. Zoro is a screaming badass man and a swordsman that defies all logic, cutting through steel and even holding one sword in his mouth. Uh, that is just so very original. But at the same time, I don't dislike the fact that Zoro is detached a little bit in emotion. He at the same time is a man of honor and values loyalty, and has an air of wisdom that you all should respect. So in the end, Zoro's amazingness comes from just his fighting skills and the fact that he has such a strong loyalty. Number 4, Robin, and I think my favorite female. The only thing I dislike about Robin's character is that she should be more badass than Uda is making her, but no, he has continued to making her a Wolf Effect shoe toy. Has also become more beautiful after the time skip. A girl with few words, and later on turned out to have among the most horrific pasts ever. Her Hana no Mi, the flower fruit, allows her to spread her body parts around everything. It's also worth noting that people asking, does that mean she can spread her strength everywhere or stuff like that? But I still not really sure about that. As Robin has in the end evolved into a true straw hat and very kind person. It's also the fact that she's chasing history. We all want to know history. We have yet to find out, which is why I'm placing her at number 4. Number 3, Jinbei. I mean, Jinbei really grew on me on the Fisherman Island arc. It's true the Fisherman Island arc was a little bit slow, but he's practically the biggest badass of all fishmen ever. He's a bit round, but he's more like a sumo wrestler, and he is extremely strong. And the only thing I dislike about Jinbei's character is it's unfortunately two things. The first is it's a bit sad his first voice actors in Japanese had to commit suicide, because I feel that second voice is not completely fitting for him. But that's a minor thing. The second is I'm still guessing his personality a little bit. In his troop, it was his first mate that married a member of the Charlotte family because he wanted to protect them. So I actually asked, why didn't Jinbei marry her? Was it because she was a merfolk? Was it because Jinbei feels like he doesn't have any right to marry because he has too many responsibilities? Or is it because he's just not interested in? Well, who knows? But you cannot deny that Jinbei is a very badass character, and despite all this, he was also the kindest Shibukai you would ever meet. He, even though he only protected the people he acknowledges and considered friends, which was a bit like that. It turned out that his dreams is very selfless. He has done many things for other people, never for himself. So this is a true warrior, a true guy of true honor, which is why I like him. Number 2, Brook. A guy of all the Straw Hats after the time skip, Brook made the greatest improvement. At the beginning, he has a fast-talking skeleton who can run, have good swordsmanship. After the time skip, it turns out that his Yomi Yomi no Mi, which allowed him actually to be revived even after his body was decomposed when he died. Yomi Yomi no Mi, meaning the revive fruit. After the time skip, he turned it into one of the most badass fruits ever, allowing him even to call up the chill of the underworld. And it's also very funny that he's also very fawning over ladies. So all in all, Brook makes very wonderful music and is a very lot of fun. And even his voice suits that fact. And it's also the only male straw hat that talks very formally. And now number 1, which a lot of people should know. Number 1 is still Sanji. As much as I still curse the fact that Sanji is getting the Wolf Effect shoe toy treatment all these arcs, and the fact that I still believe Sanji will not get redemption in the whole Cake Island arc. You had to ask. I think you're asking me why, despite all your complaints, do you still play Sanji as your favorite characters? Because I look back on why he became my favorite character. He I felt his character was so original. A cook that decides not to fight with his hands because they're so precious, so he fights with his kicks, and his kicks are so extraordinary, so amazing, and so inhuman. It's very funny. It's also the fact that he's the only straw that's so very open and flirting with every single lady. And the fact that he's so calm, cool most of the time. The only thing I dislike about Sanji is the fact that he smokes. But if I wanted to be a character, I wish I could have been Sanji. A guy that could have done such ridiculous kicks. A guy that could have cooked delicious food. And most of all, fawning over every single lady because I made a promise to love every single lady in the world. I mean, I do flirt with most ladies I meet, but not as open as Sanji is. I mean, he proclaims himself a slave of love, or maybe even a slave of perversion. But there's nothing wrong with that. He's still a chivalrous and very good character. But I still feel very troubled that he will not get redemption in the whole Cake Island arc. But we'll just wait and see. That's my favorite characters, and this is my long videos. I wanted to make some editing things on it, but I don't think I will, because, well, this video is too long already. So give me your thoughts, or if you want to name your 30 characters of your favorite one, go right ahead.